Gothic architecture first appeared in the 12th century with the invention of flying buttresses, lancet archways, and rib-vaulted ceilings. Through these new architectural wonders, dark, damp, and massive stone buildings, like the Bamborough Castle located in Northumberland, England, designers now could envision construction of larger and taller buildings with open floor plans that could be filled with natural light. The construction of Gothic buildings differ in many ways from the traditional Romanesque designs. In place of the large stone blocks typical of Romanesque structures, Gothic architecture incorporates small, smooth stones. Where hollow walls once supported the great weight of the ceiling, the invention of the flying buttress now allows solid, thinner walls to support an even dispersal of weight from the ceiling to the walls and columns down to the ground. This design allowed for more open space as well as larger window openings, which served to increase the light in these previously darkened interiors. Through Gothic architecture, buildings were now designed to be functional and beautiful. In order to direct rainwater away from the structures, magnificent hand-carved gargoyles, animals, and human-like statues were created to act as waterspouts. Even the weight-bearing flying buttress became artistic canvas to create an additional look of grandeur previously missing from earlier architectural design. First recorded in 1276, the Hunyad Castle in Transylvania, Romania, is one example of Gothic architecture. This 13-story castle's interior displays the combination of rib-vaulted ceilings resting on thin columns with lancet archways to create this open and ample interior. Although the Gothic style is evident throughout its construction, because of its rich and bloody history, to many it is simply recognized as home to Count Dracula. Born with the desire to honor and be closer to God, the earliest example of Gothic architecture can be seen in the Saint-Denis Cathedral in Paris, France. Beginning in 1135, Aubert Suger began the new construction of the Cathedral Basilica of Saint-Denis. Interestingly, the Gothic architecture of this construction is the work of two unknown architects with markedly different styles and not Suger, as is often incorrectly assumed. Suger, born in 1081, was a devout Christian who at the age of 10 dedicated his life to God and to be of service to Him. He believed that it was through light that one became closer to God and His kingdom, and that a house of worship should be large enough to house all of God's worshippers. Gone are the dark and damp corridors and cramped common areas of the Romanesque architecture. In their place emerges large, open spaces, bathed in beautiful natural light, filtering in through multicolored panes of stained glass. These remarkable photographs of the Saint-Denis choir are a wonderful example of the intricate details of Gothic architecture. In these photographs, as our gaze follows up to the sky, it is easy to understand how the finished beauty could overshadow the brilliance of the architectural designs which produce such amazing sights. In these particular views we can see the magnificent ribbed vaults as they descend from the ceiling, reaching their long, thin tendrils down to rest on the slender columns below. Lighting the way are the beautiful stained glass windows that sit inside lancet archways. What we cannot see from the inside of these masterpieces of architectural wonder are the flying buttresses on the outside, which are strategically placed to hold it all together. Bishop Avois du Fouillois commissioned Robert du Lussach to begin construction on the Ameins Cathedral in 1220. Completed in 1270, Ameins is the largest of the three Gothic cathedrals built in the 13th century. It has a 476-foot exterior, which allows ample room for a 438-foot interior. The aisles sit next to impressive 66-foot walls, which are held together through the pressure of the innovated exterior flying buttress and carefully placed stones. Housing and surrounding the delicate and beautiful stained glass windows, we can see the lancet archway designs throughout this construction. Indicative of Gothic architecture, our eyes are drawn upward and towards the rib vaults, which seem to hold the massive ceiling above us with little ease. Built in 1211, the Reims Cathedral, designed by Jean d'Orbay, is considered one of the most artistic and architectural monuments of Gothic design. The three portholes are flanked by medieval statues with sculptured arches and topped with a beautiful rose window of stained glass. As we venture inside this magnificent cathedral, we are once again met with the wonder of the design behind the masterpiece. Slender columns appear to hold the entire weight of the ceiling above us at bay, while the lancet archways house and protect the delicate stained glass windows that create the kaleidoscope of colors found throughout the building. Considered the crown jewel of cathedrals, the Chartres Cathedral was built following a fire of the previous Romanesque-style church in 1194. Completed in 1260, it is considered the most expressive testament of medieval Catholicism and houses the largest collection of original stained glass and sculptures that have survived throughout all of these centuries. In addition, the Chartres has the boasting rights to the largest nave, measuring 52 feet, as well as having the only intact maze measuring 320 yards. This magnificent cathedral represents one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture. Again, we see the brilliance of the design through the use of the flying buttress, rib-vaulted ceilings, and lancet archways that make it possible for the Chartres to be lit with only natural light, filtering through the beautiful stained glass windows seen throughout the cathedral. The Beauvais Cathedral in France is an example of how precise the placement of stones and flying buttresses had to be. Bishop Milan Notoy commissioned its construction in 1225. Not satisfied with the size of the choir, in 1247, Bishop Guillaume du Gratz ordered architect Bernard du Soissons to add 16 feet to the existing choir, making it the tallest choir at an impressive 154 feet. In 1284, this addition collapsed for unknown reasons. In the 1480s, Martin Chambige, considered the greatest masonry of the 16th century, designed the transept featuring two monumental facades. In the mid-16th century, an additional tower was added, causing a second collapse of this beautiful cathedral. After the second collapse, the patrons abandoned all hope of having a towered nave and instead settled with building a Romanesque church where the nave would have been. As I researched material for this project, I found myself often lost in not just the beauty of the stained glass and marvelous statues, but also in the marvel of the designs. I wondered about the agony of the failures as seen in the Beauvais, as well as the jubilation of the successes as seen in the Amiens, Reims, and Chartres cathedrals. It is almost impossible to get so lost in the beauty of the artist who designed the stained glass and statues without also realizing the beauty of the minds that created the buildings that make them possible. The dedication to God is just as evident in each carefully laid stone that these master architects and craftsmen put together that allow us to be surrounded by such beauty and design. Their gift to God was their ability to ensure that these structures were worthy of housing His worshippers, as well as protecting the beautiful works of art that were a tribute to Him. We simply cannot fully appreciate the magnificence of the beauty of these creations without also acknowledging the genius and devotion to God shown by their creators.